Hello, amazing entrepreneurs, and I hope you're excited because in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the step-by-step process to creating powerful and inexpensive Pinterest ads for your Amazon listings, specifically to directly increase Amazon sales, as well as indirectly increase your sales through improving your BSR and organic keyword ranking. And not just for your product launch, but for months and years to come. Now, why are we talking about Pinterest and what makes Pinterest and Pinterest ads special for Amazon? Well, first of all, Pinterest is not a social media platform. Pinterest, like Amazon or Etsy are for products, how YouTube is for videos or Google, is actually a search engine and specifically a visual search engine. And what makes this search engine special is that it has over 400 million monthly active users. 83% of these weekly users actually make a purchase based on content that they've seen on Pinterest. 50% of users specifically go to Pinterest when shopping. So they don't do the shopping without going to Pinterest first. And also 50% of users will actually make a purchase after seeing a Pinterest ad. On top of this, Pinterest has one of the highest average household incomes as well as household spending, right behind LinkedIn. So people using this platform have a lot of money, they're spending lots of money, and it mends really well with e-commerce, and a lot of people don't even know this and therefore aren't even using the full potential that this platform can bear for you. And for perspective, our average cost per click from a Pinterest ad to our Amazon listing is only 28 cents. So basically for a very, very, very low cost per click, you're able to tap into an audience that has money and is spending money on a regular basis, specifically going to Pinterest to buy things, and you can have your product show up basically right in front of them. If they're interested, they can click, and a percentage will obviously buy from you on Amazon, ultimately increasing your sales and indirectly your organic ranking as well, which is what makes Pinterest so special and what we're gonna cover in this video. And the final point that is important to make before we dive in is that Amazon has made it abundantly clear that they want sellers to drive high quality external traffic directly to their Amazon product listings. And this is evident through the Amazon attribution program that Amazon has been pushing heavily and more sellers are beginning to adopt. And on top of that is also Amazon's brand referral bonus, where they're actually paying sellers for every sale that they make through Amazon attribution from these external sources. So literally Amazon is paying money to sellers to bring traffic from external sources. And I also have seen and believe that Amazon is also rewarding sellers who bring this high quality traffic from places like Pinterest and Google and other platforms with increased bestseller rank or BSR and keyword ranking. So with all this being said, I think it's absolutely worth for Amazon sellers to not only rely on Amazon PPC advertising, but to begin branching out and testing with these different ad types, including Pinterest ads, which I believe can have some really incredible results for you and your business. Now, with all that being said, let's actually go ahead and get to the tutorial. First thing you're gonna wanna do is create a Pinterest business account at business.pinterest.com, and I'll include a link in the resources section below as well. And basically you have the option of setting up a personal account or a business account. I'd recommend just creating a free business account. And when you set up your business account, make sure you add in your logo. You will have your brand name. For the website section, what I like to do is if I have a website, I'll include a link to my website. And if not, let's say I just have one product I'm selling on Amazon, then you can actually take your Amazon product page link and use the link to your Amazon product as the website. It's free to set up, so just go ahead and set it up. I'm gonna go ahead and set up billing as well with some credit card information, which is the way that you'll get charged for your advertising when you start running. Once you do that, you're good to go on the business end. And then what we're gonna do is actually head over to canva.com. And if you're not familiar with Canva, it's a graphic design tool specifically for social media. And this is what we're gonna use to create free, beautiful Pinterest pins really quickly using our existing Amazon product images. So I'll also have a link to Canva in the resources section below as well. And once you create and log into your Canva account, head up to the top right, click on create a design. In the search, look for Pinterest. And specifically we're looking for Pinterest pin 1000 by 1500 pixels. So that's what we want. Go ahead and click on that. And all this does is create a blank template, and we can pre-fill that blank template with assets that Canva actually gives us. And about 90% of the features in Canva are free and about 10% are paid. Allie and I do have a paid account because we like a lot of the paid features here, but with a free account, you can get very, very, very far with it. So what we're going to do is here in the top left, click on templates and then search for Pinterest templates So think about your product. What style is it? Is it more minimalist, modern, small, big, rustic, sleek, boho, whatever that is? And type in those sorts of stylistic keywords into the search bar to find content that is relevant and kind of pairs well with your product. So in this case, we're selling boho wallets. So we'll go ahead and type in boho and hit enter. And sometimes Pinterest will have some very good templates that relate to that. And sometimes Canva will not so much. In this case, it looks like we have some options. And what we're looking for, and by the way, if you see Pro here at the bottom right of any pin, that means that you need the paid version to use it, but most are free. So what we're looking for are pins that have a very large image section. So if we look over here, for example, it's right here, this one that I'm hovering over with my mouse, there's no image on here, just text with some graphics behind. We're looking for pin templates that have one kind of main image that really stands out. Because your goal with creating this pin, which is gonna act as the ad that we actually run on Pinterest, is gonna do two things. So one, it needs to be very clear. So what is your product? How much is it, right? Very, very clear and very to the point. And number two, it needs to stand out. When there's all these other pins around, your pin needs to ultimately shine and stand out from the other options. So it could be worth going on Pinterest, looking at some other pins for inspiration, or you could just dive in here. It's up to you, but I would do a little bit of extra research just to make sure my pin really stands out. But anyway, you can't go wrong with most of these templates. So in this case, I like this right here. I'm gonna click on it and it automatically pre-fills my blank template with this one. And I like this because there's a main image right here, it grabs attention, and there's just some very simple text that I can include some more information. So there's four main elements that you want on your pins. We're gonna start with element number one. We want our product image. So however many images that you have with your Amazon product, take those same number of images, download them, and then upload them in the best quality that you have into Canva, and you can do so on the far left side in the uploads section, okay? So what we're gonna do with those images, let's say we have 7 product images, each of those 7 product images will become a separate pin. So one image per pin. And you see down here, once we create our first pin, I click on the number 1 down here, Command C and Command V to paste. I can do that multiple times, right, up to 7. It makes it very easy to create multiple pins. Even if they look very similar, it doesn't matter. You can vary them up, would be better if they're slightly different aesthetic-wise and otherwise, but you can keep them the exact same aesthetic and just change out the image. It can still work well. And you'll see why we're doing that in just a second. So next, anyway, heading over to uploads, we have our images uploaded. That's great. Go ahead and click on one of the images. So this is image number 1. I can click and drag it around. I'm gonna put it over top of my existing image. I can also right click, I can send backwards, and then delete the other image that was there. So there we go. There's our image now, very visible, beautiful image, and you can mix it up with different product images, lifestyle images. This is element number 1. Element number 2, which can be anywhere here, but I'm gonna do it up here, is your product price point. And a little tip that I recommend doing is whatever your product is selling for on Amazon, especially during launch, increase your price on Pinterest by $1 or $2. And 2 things happen. Number 1 is by including the price on your pin, we only want to show up to people who are ultimately going to purchase. So even if we show up in front of all these different people, we only want the people who are actually on Pinterest to make a purchase to click on our ad, go to our Amazon listing, and ultimately our conversion rate is going to be higher. Because remember, we only pay per click and not all clicks are created the same. Clicks from people who are looking for a product to buy right now are way better quality. Even though they're the exact same price, they're much better quality than clicks of people who are just window shopping. So you want to have your price on the pin, and you want to make sure, well, you can consider increasing by $1 or $2, because when someone clicks on your pin and it's $20 and it gets to Amazon and it's on sale for $19, they think, oh, this is a deal, this is a sale. There's some subliminal scarcity there to act fast. So I found that can actually work a little bit. You can use the same thing with your website. Have all your products $1 or $2 more on your website versus Amazon, drive traffic to your website. A lot of people from your website will just cross-check on Amazon and then buy there. So anyway, side note, so a little strategy there. Element number 3 is find, let's say in this case, remember we have 7 different product pins that we're gonna create. Take 7 high searched relevant keywords from your master keyword list, the same keywords that you use to optimize your listing with, and take each keyword, and each keyword will be optimized for each pin. So keyword 1 is for pin 1, keyword 2 you put for pin 2, and so on. And the reason for this is, like we mentioned before, Pinterest is a search engine. So the more keywords that you have, instead of just using the same keyword over and over, is that this can actually help you rank for these keywords, not just on Pinterest, but also on Google and other platforms, is because Pinterest actually reads the text on your image itself. So they'll read your title, your description, your alternative text, and the text on your image. So it's very, very important to have a keyword of some kind in each pin that you create. It's going to drastically help your searchability on at least Pinterest alone. So in this case, let's say our first keyword is, let's say women's boho wallet. There we go. I'm going to shift hold both of these so I can just kind of move them up to make it a little bit more centered. And then our last element that I like to include down here is if you have a website, go ahead and include a link to your website, which could be, like bohowallets.com. If you don't have a website, I really recommend including your brand name. So it could be at women's wallets or boho wallets. And the reason for doing this is because hopefully your pin actually has a lot of likelihood to get seen and get visibility on Pinterest for people on Pinterest to save that pin to their own board, or basically save and share it to their own audience. That audience can actually see it, save and share to their audience. That audience can go, and so on. So it can actually kind of go viral on Pinterest itself. Also, some of these users may download your beautiful pin and upload it to their own social media account. Also, these pins are very likely going to show up in Google image searches or even linked in Google search, to where you can kind of click and actually takes users to your pin and then takes them to your Amazon listing. So a really, really powerful SEO tool where this pin can show up in multiple places. So it's very important, if it can show up in a lot of places, to have some of your branding elements there. And by doing this, you can actually track the results and maybe even seeing a lot of keywords from branded search on Google, on Amazon, etc., actually increase. So really important to have your brand there. So you just have price, what it is, and if people like the design, they're going to click and it's going to take them to our Amazon listing. So a really powerful asset. Go ahead and, like I said, I can go ahead and select in the bottom left, copy, paste, and create different variations of this. But I could obviously work on this a little bit more. I might make the $20 stand out a little bit more. It's a little bit small. Maybe put something behind it. But this is sufficient to kind of get started. So looks good. If everything looks good, go ahead in the top right, click on share. Then click on download, and you have the option to download as many pages as you like. You can either do one page, all 3 pages, etc. I recommend downloading it in PNG format as well for the best optimized. And then lastly, before you do that, make sure you change the title in the top right as well. So we're going to call this Boho Wallet Pinterest Pins. Okay, there we go. All right, everything's good to go. We're going to go ahead and hit download. There we go. And that'll just download it to our desktop. From there, now these will be ready for when we actually set up our Pinterest ads, and we'll have our creative pins ready to go. So let's go ahead and get back into our Pinterest dashboard. Once we're here, click on ads, and then click on create ad to begin the campaign process. First, for your campaign objective, select consideration. You're not going to select conversions. I would only recommend selecting conversions if you have your own website, a Pinterest tag has already been installed on that website, and you're generating at least 50 sales per week. Otherwise, there's not enough data that the Pinterest tag can use, which is kind of like a Facebook pixel or a Google tag, to kind of track. There's not enough conversions to really get a lot of good data. So for most sellers, and even those that have a website set up, likely you want to go with consideration, okay? Where basically Pinterest is going to show your ad or your pin to users who are likely to click. And again, with the tactics that we're using, we're trying to get people who are clicking, those that are much more likely to buy, right? Which we said with a price point, with a product image and all of that. All right, so scrolling down, campaign name. This is a campaign name for you and your organization, and no one else is gonna see this. So for campaign name, what I like to do is, name, so it could be Boho Wallet, Amazon, and then interests. So we're gonna set up 2 campaigns here. One campaign is going to be our interests campaign, where we target people with certain types of interests on Pinterest. And the second campaign we're going to set up is a keyword targeting campaign, where we target specific product keywords that users are actually searching for on Pinterest, which is really, really powerful as well. Because remember, Pinterest is a search engine. So first, it's a little bit more complicated, which is why we're getting it out of the way first, which is the interest campaign. So go ahead and name it. Campaign status, you want active. Campaign budget type, I recommend daily over lifetime. It's better to have a campaign running, and then at any time you can pause the campaign, you can increase budget or decrease budget. So it's better to have a campaign running and kind of manipulating or changing it than setting up brand new campaigns. And the reason is that it can take some time, even like, weeks, for new campaigns, especially with a brand new account, to really gain some traction. So I recommend setting a daily budget and just manually making changes there, but you could create a campaign for the duration of your product launch and just set a lifetime budget there. So anyway, I'm gonna do daily. I recommend between $5 to $20 per day to start for most people, and that should be sufficient. For us personally, whatever we're spending with Amazon PPC, let's say it's $10,000 per month, we allocate about 5% of that, so let's say $500 toward Pinterest advertising. So around 5% currently goes toward Pinterest ads. So not necessarily a high amount, but again, it's kind of having that very high quality, really targeted traffic with high purchase intent continually going to your Amazon listing. And you'll soon see by the end of this video why that kind of helps increase your direct sales as well as overall organic ranking and therefore indirect sales and profit. So we're just gonna set $10 daily budget. Click on run continuously because remember, you can shut off at any time. Then we're gonna click on continue. And this takes us to the ad group section. So same idea here. We want to go ahead and first name the ad group, which is where all of our targeting, language, age, gender, geographic location, specific interests, all that's going to be done. So it'll be almost the exact same name as the campaign. So we have Boho Wallet, Amazon, interests. I'm going to have a dash because I'm going to add one more thing here in just a second. So for targeting details, we have two main options. We can either reconnect with existing users or even existing customers, or we can find new customers. So unless you've been on Pinterest for a while now, or that you have an existing website with an email list that you can kind of upload and create what's called an act-alike audience, or you can retarget your past customers on Pinterest as well. So aside from that, which is going to be a very small percentage of people watching, our main objective, and even if you do have all of this, you'll also want to set up and find new customers. So we're going to select because we're finding our own customers. Again, here, Pinterest gives us the option, if we have it, to upload our own customer list. So we have a list of emails or phone numbers that we've collected from customers in the past. We can upload it and then either retarget them on Pinterest or create an act-alike audience, which is sort of like a Facebook lookalike audience just for Pinterest, where Pinterest kind of looks at their similar kind of demographic and psychographic data and then finds a new group of brand new people with similar characteristics to that one. Anyway, getting a little bit more advanced. If you want me to make a video on that, let me know in the comments, but for most, this will probably not be the case. What we'll want to do is create our interest campaign. And even if you have an existing customer list, you also want to set up an interest campaign. So here under interest and keywords, hit the dropdown. Really important. Make sure you unselect enable expanded targeting. All this is going to do is if you leave this on, Pinterest is going to say, hey, based on what you've put, we're trying to find more people similar to that. And you're relying and giving control to Pinterest algorithm instead of you manually. And basically what happens is Pinterest is much more interested in spending your budget than actually making efficient use of it. And the results aren't as good. So in my opinion, in general, when it comes to paid marketing, more control. Don't rely on AI or artificial intelligence. Do things manually, kind of work through things, think about your audience and get as targeted as possible. So we're going to unselect that. And we have either the options for interests or keywords. I recommend creating two campaigns, which I'll show you how to do. This campaign, we're just going to focus on interests, and the next campaign will focus on keywords, because then we can be much more selective. And in any case, we could like turn on one campaign, leave the other one on for 30 days, do the opposite, and kind of track our results. So the more granular that we get, the more control that we have and the better data and measurement can be. Otherwise, everything's too lumped together. So we're going to focus on interests. And what I recommend doing is here, you can search all interests. So in this case, right, we have a Boho wallet, and I'm going to type in Boho. And by doing so, we see that there are 3 different interest categories that we can target. So we can target Pinterest users that are interested in boho wedding, boho interior, and wedding. Quick note about this. Anytime you see this kind of overall very broad category, I'd recommend not targeting that. The reason is it's so broad that there's all kinds of people that are interested in this topic, and very few people may actually be in buying mode and purchasing decision mode to click on your ad and then go to your listing. So in general, even if you get inexpensive clicks, it could not necessarily perform as well. So I recommend getting as granular as possible, okay? And note number 2 is if you're running through this and you're searching for interests and you're like, okay, I don't really see any interest that relates specifically to my product, that could be a sign that Pinterest isn't right for you. Because remember, you want to go where your audience is. And you may have thought your audience was on Pinterest, but if you don't see really, really good targeting with interest for that, then maybe Pinterest isn't really worth your effort. And maybe there's another social media platform where more of your audience is that you can kind of capitalize on. So that's kind of another little point in knowing, which a question I get a lot is Pinterest right for my brand or for my business? This is the best way to know, in my opinion. There's no better way, is to go through the process that we've done so far and do this. And still, for me, even if Pinterest wasn't perfect for my business, I would still create some pins to get that ranking on Google, build those backlinks back to my listing, and still exist on Pinterest. So anyone who searches, none of my competitors are there, and I'm the only option there. So I would still go through every step of the process thus far, maybe just not use the Pinterest advertising feature. Okay, so wedding does not relate to our boho wallets. It has nothing to do with it. Boho wedding. So someone who's interested in boho wedding type of content on Pinterest, they're looking to plan a wedding. It's really more for their wedding. So maybe if my wallet is used a lot at weddings, if I know my customers or my competitors' customers, based on their Amazon reviews, are actually buying and using for weddings, it could be worth targeting. But in general, no, because people looking for wedding planning for a boho wedding aren't necessarily maybe interested in a wallet. I could test it, but let's just say I know my audience well enough. I'm like, nah, it's still a bit too broad. Next, we have boho interior. This is what we're targeting at the very end one here. Now, boho interior, someone who has their entire room decorated with boho decor, or they're looking to redecorate their entire room, that's a very good chance that they may be interested in my boho wallet. Yes, it's not exactly relative, but if they go home and they want to see boho everywhere, there's a good chance that when they leave home, they can take a piece of that boho aesthetic with them in the form of my wallet, right? And I could even kind of make that a marketing kind of angle. But anyway, so this is one great thing to target. So we're going to go ahead and select the check mark for boho interior. That means that we are eligible to kind of target this. Next, I'm also going to look for, because we have a wallet. So I want to see what we have for wallet, or if I did boho wallet, see what happens. Not really seeing. Okay, here we go. By typing in boho wallet, and even if I just typed in wallet, I can show you there's actually different search results. So it's worth just kind of playing around and testing. But what we find either way is we have this keyword right here, which is women's wallet. So a bit more broad, or maybe even more competitive, but it depends kind of with Pinterest. I would target this because I'm like, okay, I'm selling a woman's wallet. This is pretty relevant because it's a woman's wallet. People who are interested in women's wallets. So I'm gonna go ahead and target that, but I'm not gonna select it just yet because with this campaign with interest, if you find more than one, go ahead and write them down on a notepad. And then what we're going to do is create multiple ad groups. So if there's more than one interest that you found that can relate to your product, you're gonna have more than one ad group, but it's super easy to do. Basically, all we're gonna do is duplicate this ad group once we're done creating and just swap out the interest here. So really simple. I'll show you how to do it in a second. So we'll do that later. Anyway, right now we have selected boho interior, which comes from the home decor category. Great. We're gonna keep scrolling down. Under demographics, click on the drop down. Scroll up, and there we go. So you can pick specific genders. Let's say that I've analyzed either my own customer reviews or my competitors' Amazon reviews. I've read over 100 reviews or paid a VA to do that. And we find that 90% of customers who've left a review have names like Jessica, Jennifer, Tiffany, Stephanie, etc. And 10% of customers have the names like Zach, Brian, etc. Right? More, maybe skewing more female, one more male. So if that's the case, and you should know your audience well, and we know that 90% are female, then we really want to target female. So we're going to go ahead and select only female. And if you don't really know, first do a little bit more research, dig a little bit deeper into your audience, and then come back and kind of make a decision. Now, let's say I still wanted to target that male kind of demographic. Then what I would do is I would create my interest campaign, like I'm going to show you now. I would duplicate the campaign and then just change to targeting men instead of women. So everything else is the same, but is now my exact campaign targeting men, my exact campaign targeting women. That's what I would do instead of targeting both, just to get as segmented as possible. But again, it's up to you. So pick specific genders. You can pick specific ages. I recommend unselecting 18 through 24. And the reason for that is, in general, 18 to 24-year-olds don't have a lot of disposable income, being in recent high school grads, in college, graduating college. So unless your product specifically appeals to 18 to 24, I would leave that unselected in general. Also, there's kind of that alcohol limit as well if any of your products are alcohol related. And then you can also filter more. So let's say I have the data and I know that my audience is in this general range, right? And it's a pretty wide range. It's not like a really small range. Or we know that they're, much younger, Gen Z, millennial status. Okay, so, right, depends on our product. Next, we can select locations. You can select all US locations. You can also select different countries. Let's see if they have anything for United Kingdom, which I already knew they did, Germany, Australia, and many other places as well. So you can select the United States as a country. If you're selling in another marketplace, that's great. You can use this for your other marketplaces. You could have, a US campaign for your US marketplace. You could have a UK for your UK marketplace. You could have an Australia for Australia, and so on, right? So also what we can do is we can select specific regions or metro areas and postal codes, which also make it really beneficial in case for whatever reason you want to be super geo-targeted with your advertising, okay? If you sell some kind of seasonal gear, for example, and right now, in the southern area of the Florida and Georgia and some other southern states, it would work really well, but in South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Michigan, Wisconsin, not so great. All right, so that's an example. But anyway, in general, I usually leave all the US locations. For languages, usually I leave all languages. If you have a product that has some kind of text involved with the product, like let's say just a t-shirt that's written in English and you don't have any Spanish options or French or whatever, then what I might do is pick a specific language. Otherwise, I usually just leave kind of like all languages, all devices, scroll down. For bidding, very, very important, you want to select custom bidding. Automatic means you're giving up control to Pinterest. And remember, Pinterest is more interested in spending your money than optimizing your money. So we want to select custom. The minimum bid for Pinterest ads is 10 cents. So most advertisers will start off setting around 10 cents. So what you want to do is set an 11-cent bid, which could give you a slight edge in the bidding auction to where, it's a 1 cent difference, which is very, very low. And you could actually get some more visibility as well, or even 12 cents. But I usually set between 10 to 12 cents is my range. So right around 11. And also with this is, remember that I mentioned that we have an average of a 28-cent cost per click with Pinterest ads to our Amazon listings. So what used to be the case with Pinterest is whatever you set here as your maximum cost per click, that's the maximum amount of money you would spend per click to your listing. Now with Pinterest ads, which is actually a good thing though, is that when someone clicks on your pin, they're actually clicking to expand your pin and to learn more about your pin. Then a percentage of those people will click again, and that'll take them to your Amazon listing. So it's kind of like a two-step process. So this is 11 cents per click to our pin, not to our listing. And then a percentage of them will ultimately go to your Amazon listing. So that's why I recommend starting off lower, and I'll show you how to look at outbound clicks versus pin clicks in the reporting dashboard, which is very, very simple. So start off at a lower bid, and what we found is on average, when we set an 11-cent bid, we get about a 28-cent cost per click. Sometimes it's higher, around, it could be lower at 17 cents, up to 36 cents, right? Somewhere in that range, but set an 11-cent bid and scroll down. And if you haven't already uploaded your pins into Pinterest, what you can do is click on create a pin. And the first thing you can do is go ahead and drag that pin that you already created and downloaded here into this section using this up arrow. Next, you have 4 simple sections. You have your title, your description, your alt text, and your destination link. So first, with your title, similar as with your pin, what I like to do to keep it simple is have our price point and then our keyword. And you could even add in something like on Amazon or whatever, or you could even make it more descriptive, but keep it simple. And again, having that price point in there deters people who are just there to window shop and increases our conversions because we only pay per click. And then obviously also having our keyword here in the title, description, and alt text section is going to actually help us rank on Google and on Pinterest both, which is really powerful. So that's why we want to have 7 different pins with 7 different keywords. And that same keyword that's here in your image is going to be here in the title, description, and alt text. So for the alt text, we'll go ahead and do that, which is women's boho wallet. Here in our description, we can have, so there we go. Really, really simple, very basic description. And again, the key though with the description is to have the price there as well somewhere, as well as your keyword. And then lastly, for a destination link, if you have an Amazon attribution link to your product, go ahead and use that. If not, then just use a clean link to your Amazon product. Okay, so just get your product link, take that link, paste it in here, just make sure it works, click on it. It should go directly to your specific Amazon product listing to where someone sees a product on Pinterest, they click, it takes them to that product, at a similar price point, hopefully a little bit lower. And that's just kind of how it works. Very, very simple and very important for it to kind of line up. So that's the last thing that we do. So www.bohowallets.com. Go ahead and click on publish. and that'll go ahead and create and add this pin to our campaign. But obviously I don't have anything here, so I'm just gonna exit out. So go ahead and publish. If you've already created your pins, what you can do is click on select pins. And then you can actually use the search bar here in case there's a certain keyword, like boho, for example. There's not, or women's, right? Whatever that is, okay. You can search up there, hit cancel, and then we can go ahead and select. And I recommend selecting 2 pins. So whatever 2 you think stand out the most, select those 2 pins, because Pinterest will automatically randomize those pins and ultimately find which one has the highest click-through rate. And in general, higher click-through rate using this strategy can lead to a higher conversion rate, although not always. Sometimes a lower click-through rate actually has a higher conversion rate on the back end and generates more profit than not, but it's better than nothing, right? We want to see kind of what resonates best. So we're going to go ahead and just select our 2. We can just select these 2. We hit add 2 pins. You can go ahead and name each pin under add name, and also make sure the destination URL is correct. So you can always change this at any time, but make sure it's correct. So I don't want to send people to YouTube. I want to send them to Amazon. So anyway, we go ahead and send that. So anyway, here for the ad name, it would be Boho Wallet, Amazon, interests, and it's add 2. Okay. Add 1, and then we can copy, go down here, and add 2. And there we go. Now we have our 2 ads. Great. I'm covering over this right now. But what I can do is actually go ahead and hit publish. But before I do that, remember, so we have one campaign. You see here, this is the campaign. Here's the campaign. And right now we have one ad group in this campaign. Okay. So what we can do now that we have everything set up, I'm going to duplicate this ad group. So click on duplicate. You can make 1 or more duplicates. I'm just going to do 1, hit duplicate. And then what we're going to do is we remember there's 2 interests we want to target: boho interior and then women's wallets. So our first ad group, if we click right here, we can just click on the ad group name and it automatically kind of pops up. So we're back here in the original ad group that we created. We can go down to interests and keywords. Under interests, go to selected and drop down just to make sure. Okay, so it's boho interior. So for this first campaign, we're targeting boho interior, so I call it boho interior. All right, that's good to go. I'm going to go to the second one that we just created. This is a copy, so it's brand new. I'm going to rename it. So it's all the same: boho wallet, Amazon interests. But in this one, we're going to target women's wallets. And this just helps us get more granular, because in case we want to A/B test in the future, where instead of just turning on Pinterest ads, turning them off, we have campaign A on and then ad group A and then ad group B on. So you can kind of A/B test that way. Again, getting more granular means there's more things to measure. Even if you don't want to measure it now, it can be measured in the future. So just a better way to set it up. And if you don't fully follow, don't worry, just set it up and it works. So ad group name, everything's going to be the same except for our interesting keywords. The demographics are the same, the placements, our bidding, all of our ads, they're good to go. The only thing that we're going to change is here under interests, go to selected, drop down, and unselect boho decor, right? Or boho interior. And what we're going to do now is select women's wallets, because we already wrote it down on our notepad. Women's wallets, we selected it. So women's wallets is the name. That is exactly what we are targeting here. There's only one selected. Perfect. So now we're good to go. Everything's good to go. We have 2 ad groups for this one campaign. We're going to go ahead and hit publish. There we go. Hit publish. And once you publish your campaign, it'll appear here in the ads reporting dashboard. If you ever want to navigate here in the future, which you should, head over once you log in to the ads tab at the top and then click on reporting. Once you do that, it'll open up the reporting dashboard and a couple main things that I like to keep an eye on. And keep in mind, this is just a dummy account that I've created. For example, this is not our Pinterest ad spend, but one thing you want to look at is your total spend as well as your spend per campaign. So you can kind of keep an eye on that. Pin clicks. This is the total number of clicks to our pin, but not to Amazon, okay, just to our pin. Oh, if we scroll over, you'll see very close, we have outbound clicks. These are the total number of clicks to your Amazon listing. So the 2 big metrics I like to focus on are my outbound clicks as well as my total spend back here kind of at the beginning, both total as well as per campaign. And then what I do to see, okay, are my Pinterest ads getting a result? There's 4 main things I like to look at. Well, 3 to 4 main things. So number 1 is I'll be running Pinterest ads totally for 1 month on, 1 month off, 1 month on, 1 month off. And then for each month, I track the exact same metrics. And some things I like to look at are overall keyword rankings, total sales generated, as well as total profit, both in total as well as for each product individually. And then I kind of look at my Pinterest advertising results. And if I'm seeing that every time that I'm spending money on Pinterest ads, I'm seeing my overall keyword rankings increase, my overall sales and profit increase. And then when I turn it off, it goes down a little bit and it goes up a little bit, even with a little bit of Pinterest spend, especially when it's combined with Google ads, influencer marketing, email lists, all of these things all come to your listing. Even a small amount of budget can go a long way, right? But don't ever just take something at face value. Always test. It can work really well for one seller, but depending on the time of year, depending on the product, or exactly how you've executed this, it may not work as well for you as another seller or vice versa. So always be testing. And those are some things I like to look at. And the number 4 kind of thing that I would look at is, again, for those of you who are brand registered, who have access to Amazon attribution, then use that link. I've found that Amazon attribution is not perfect, not even close. I think it actually doesn't track as many sales as it should be. So use Amazon attribution, but don't get discouraged when you look into Amazon attribution and you've been spending hundreds of dollars on Pinterest ads and it only says you've made like 2 sales. And you're like, okay, this is not working, because Amazon attribution especially doesn't pick up for Pinterest from what I found. I've talked to a lot of other advertisers on Facebook, on TikTok, and other platforms that attest to the same thing. So just kind of keep that in mind, but still good to have to capture that brand referral bonus. And just so Amazon can kind of read and track that data and kind of better categorize as well, could potentially benefit you in the long run. So before we finish this, as I promised, the last thing, and it'll be very, very quick that we'll run through, is to create our keyword targeting campaign. So very similar to before, what we're gonna do is click on Create Campaign, select Consideration. We're gonna name our campaign, so very similar. So let's say Boho Wallets, Amazon, and it's gonna be our keywords campaign. Active, daily budget, say $10 again. Run continuously, hit Continue. Ad group, same deal here. Boho Wallets, Amazon, and then we'll do keywords. We're going to find new customers. We're going to select interesting keywords, unselect, expanded targeting, click on add keywords this time because we're adding keywords. And what I recommend doing is taking all of the keywords that you're targeting with your Amazon PPC campaigns, even if that's dozens or even hundreds, because as you see here that generally, and I found this is the case as well, as long as a keyword is relevant, the more keywords, the better, because that's more chances to get seen, obviously on Pinterest, kind of rank for that keyword potentially as well on that platform. And you set your own cost per click, and it's very, very low. So it can be very, very profitable, even for a little bit broader term. So for me, anything I'm targeting with my Amazon PPC advertising, I'm going to copy that over. But before I paste, this is the same way as with Google ads. You can see that there's different match types. So we have broad match, phrase match, and exact match mainly. So broad match just means if you just copy and paste your words as is, Pinterest is going to target not just those keywords, but loosely related. So in our case, if we target boho or women's wallet, it could target men's wallet, it could target, leather wallet, sleek wallet, potentially, right? So very, very broad, where with exact match, which is indicated by brackets at the beginning and the end, we target only that exact phrase, which is ideal. So we want to target an exact match. If you're already familiar with PPC a little bit, you've run Google ads or Amazon ads for a while, are pretty knowledgeable, you could use phrase match to get a little bit more reach along with negative exact. But even then, just to keep it simple, I recommend exact match. So what we're going to do is copy that keyword list. Again, it's as many or as few as you want. You can start off a little bit more conservative, just with hyper-specific, product-specific words, and then slowly add in more broad keywords. But for me, off the bat, as long as it's relevant, if someone's searching on Pinterest for this keyword, and there's a good likelihood they could actually buy my product, I'm targeting that. I'm targeting all of those, even if it's hundreds of keywords. I'm going to take those keywords, however many there are, and I'm going to go to a tool like keywordmatchtypetool.com, which you can kind of see here, which I'll also link in the resources section as well. And then with this tool, all you do is in the far left, paste your keyword list just like this. So one keyword after another. Then over here under the match type in the far right, click on exact. So all it's gonna do after you click on make a keyword list is turns your keyword list that's raw and in broad match into a keyword list that's an exact match. And this is the keyword match that you want. So you want to Command A to copy, or Command A to select everything, Command C to copy. We go back to Pinterest. And then here in this rectangle, essentially, we're going to Command V to paste, right? And again, you can have as many or as little as you want. Ignore this potential audience size over here. I found this is very, very inaccurate, even with lots of keywords. So I, in general, would ignore this. It really doesn't mean much. Certain campaigns, both saying the same thing, one can go and get a lot more traction than another. So it doesn't really matter. So anyway, that was kind of a side note. Moving down. Same thing, demographics here. In general, I tend to be a little bit more relaxed on keyword targeting because when someone's typing for a specific keyword on Pinterest, I don't really care as much about it's like, for example, if usually 60-year-olds don't buy from you, you're not going to target 60-year-olds in general. But if a 60-year-old wants to buy from you, you're like, yeah, come on and buy. Like, there's no problem with that, right? So same thing here. With someone searching for a keyword, I don't necessarily want to get in the way of them searching for a keyword by excluding them in my targeting. Of different ages and different genders, there could be a reason maybe, men don't usually buy my product, but maybe they're searching on Pinterest and they're looking for one for their sister or for their girlfriend or whatever. So here under demographics, you can choose or leave all as is. It's totally up to you. I'm gonna leave all. If someone's searching for a woman's wallet and they are a man, I don't care. I think it's great. Let's see here under ages. Again, you can kind of restrict. So even if someone's typing in for like a boho wallet here and they're like younger and most of this age group doesn't really buy from you, maybe exclude because they're still searching for it, but they're not there to buy. So it depends, it's up to you. Same idea here with locations, with languages. For languages, I leave all languages because someone could be registered with their Pinterest profile that they speak French, but actually they're bilingual or trilingual and they also speak English fluently. So I leave all languages because the keywords I'm targeting, again, they're in English. So I'm just gonna naturally target English shoppers. And another little tip as well, going back to our keyword section, as you saw here, what I recommend doing is take all the keywords that you're targeting with Amazon PPC, target those, then go back and add the word Amazon after them and also target those. So you have your raw keyword list and then you have the keywords plus Amazon list. For example, boho wallet boho wallet on Amazon, Amazon's women's wallets, Amazon, things like that, right? Or boho, wall art, Amazon, whatever that looks like. But just using the word Amazon after with your original keyword list, because anyone searching for those keywords on Pinterest especially is a high intent buyer. If they're typing for Amazon, that means they want to buy. So you definitely want to get in front of them, and you can get in front of them for literally cents. Really powerful. So just a little side note that I want to add. I was debating on sharing that with you, but of course I'm going to share it with you. All right, scrolling down, devices, placements, that's fine. Bidding, same idea here. I recommend getting started at an 11-cent bid. With keyword targeting, I'm willing to kind of increase my bid a little bit more. I think usually it's between 10 to 30 cents. Still very, very low initial custom bid. But the reason for that is, as you've already kind of understood, someone searching for a keyword that's product specific is much more likely to buy and convert than someone who's just, Pinterest algorithm identified that they were interested in something, right? It's somewhat accurate, and it is accurate, but just because they're on Pinterest, they may not necessarily be shopping. So the keywords tend to have a little bit more conversion rate than interest. But remember, still a huge percentage of either one of those audiences is on Pinterest to buy already. So that's why this kind of works, double well. So it works really well. So anyway, this is kind of what we're gonna set. For pins to promote, by this point, we already have our pins. So we'll just go select our 2 pins, right? Whatever those are. Go ahead and add them, which I'm covering up my face. And then you're good to go. Go ahead and hit publish. Once it publishes, it will appear under ads here in the reporting dashboard. And then, like I said before, just keep an eye on this on a weekly or even a monthly basis and test this with your own brand. And what I recommend is giving it ample time. So a lot of times people will click on your Pinterest ad, but they won't buy for even 14 days or 30 days. So keeping that in mind, test your advertising, turn it on, off. I recommend in 30-day increments. And then look back at your key metrics and then see, okay, is this actually driving ranking and profit? And for some sellers, this will. And for some sellers, this won't. So that's why it's very important to test this. There's all these great strategies, but some of these great strategies work really well for some sellers and not as much for others. So that's why with anything that anyone's telling you, get started with a good base and then start testing with that base for your product and your business specifically. And I know this was a lot, so if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. And if we reach 50 unique comments on this video, I'll be giving away free access to one lucky winner of our 6 Amazon product launch secrets I've already revealed one of them, but there's still 5 other secrets that can completely transform and blow past your competitors. So if you're interested, I'll have a link to this in the description section below. In case you want access, we'll be having a special promotion for you for a huge discount from what we normally have. And if you already buy and end up winning the contest, we'll refund your entire purchase. And remember, so comment below, like this video if you liked it, and consider subscribing for more out-of-the-box Amazon FBA tips, tutorials, hacks, and news. And as always, thank you so much for watching. God bless you and your business. I look forward to seeing you in future videos.